Hello, my puzzle-solving mages, it's Silent Signs from I Dream of Indie, and today we are taking a look at Unbound Worlds Apart, a hand-drawn puzzle platformer where you take control of a young mage named Soli. All seems well for Soli. He's getting ready for this annual celebration of the Guardian when all of a sudden evil is unleashed upon the world, and it is up to Soli to seek revenge against these evil forces and to restore peace to his world. It's a good thing he's a particularly gifted mage, as he uses his powers to conjure portals which help him along his journey. These portals can do everything from defy gravity to give Soli super strength, and just about everything in between. There are 10 different types of portals in all, and each of them will grant you super special abilities that you'll need to solve all sorts of types of platforming puzzles. Soli also gains other types of abilities, such as a double jump or wall climb along the way, which help him navigate these environments. Also helpful in that regard is the Overworld Map. There are certain points on the map that you are able to teleport to and from. Your map will also highlight points of interest, quests, and some of the characters that you will come in contact with. This is all helpful because it saves you from wandering aimlessly or backtracking too much. The map does also fill in as you explore new areas of this world. The actual gameplay mechanics are simple enough to understand. You have your basic jump button, which is also how you'll perform your double jumps and your wall climbs and things of that nature. You also have your L1 or left bumper, depending on what type of controller you're playing on, which is how you switch between dimensions using those portal abilities. As far as puzzle solving, platforming challenge goes, these are all tough but fair in Unbound Worlds Apart. I definitely struggled with some areas of the game, but for the most part, with some perseverance and maybe taking a step back and reassessing the situation, I was always able to find and execute the solution. And I really think this needs to be attributed to the smooth platforming in Unbound Worlds Apart. Anytime I took a death, it always felt like it was something that I could improve upon or an error that I made myself, not the game being cheap, which I feel like is so important when it comes to a puzzle platformer being successful. The jumps felt precise, switching between dimensions was almost seamless, and speaking of seamless, the load times in the PC version of this game are almost non-existent. It really helped keep you immersed in the gameplay. And of course, we have to address these gorgeous hand-drawn graphics in Unbound Worlds Apart. I absolutely love the look of any hand-drawn game, and this one is no exception. I thought that the environments were gorgeously detailed and rich. The characters had so much personality to them, even though I do have to say, I wasn't the biggest fan of the story. I'll talk a little more about that later. Nothing personal, it just didn't grab me. But I loved how they looked. I even loved how the enemies looked. I thought there was a decent amount of variety to the enemies that you encounter as well. And then, of course, there's the fact that once you throw up a portal, the entire background of that section changes. So you're essentially looking at two different worlds at once. It's really striking, and it not only changes the background, but the look of enemies and obstacles as well. A very unique feature of this game. The striking art style is also complemented by an absolutely breathtaking soundtrack. It has a piano lead as well as some strings and other orchestrations in the background, and it definitely changes as the mood or tone of the game shifts. When an enemy pops out, things get a little more stressful. When you're in a more calm forest area, the music certainly reflects that. I always love when a game uses its soundtrack so effectively, and this one does a fantastic job all around on presentation. The sound design, the musical choice, and the art style just create a gorgeous package. As I touched on before, the one thing I wasn't a huge fan of in Unbound Worlds Apart was the story, and that's not to say it's a bad story. It just didn't hold my attention and blow me away like the rest of the game did, and I think that's partially because there's no voice acting. Just reading through speech bubbles doesn't really grab me the same way that hearing those lines read out would, and it's a matter of personal preference at the end of the day, but that's just my thoughts on that matter. It certainly didn't ruin my experience. I don't think the story is that important to the enjoyment of this game. In fact, just exploring the world itself, seeing what new abilities I acquire and what kind of magic I can do with my portals was all I needed to keep me going. I honestly don't think I've played a better puzzle platforming game all year, and trust me when I say I've played a lot of games, and for that reason I do have to award Unbound Worlds Apart one of our golden genie lamps of approval. If you are looking for a nice, smooth feeling puzzle platforming game that is rewarding and colorful and just a pleasure to look at and play, then I 100% recommend Unbound Worlds Apart to you. So what do you think? Will you be making some portals in Unbound Worlds Apart? Let me know in the comments down below. Before I go, I just want to thank our indie warriors Mitchell Hall, Kevelo, Bunny, Bill Tikaz, Christian Cruz, Strick9, Chris Jackson, Nathan Moore, Peach, Adriana Amato, CJR, Falco Lombardi, C. Coil, Skeptism, Jen Rose, Jesse, and Julian Kolbus. Thank you all so much for your support, and thank you for watching this video. If you haven't already, subscribe down below so you don't miss any reviews or previews, and check out the description box for a bunch of other ways to support the channel. Thank you again for watching. I'll see you next time.